Okay, just before we start, I just wanted to check. We'll do this as a combination of Kannada, Hindi, English. My Hindi is very bad, but I'll make an attempt. But there are also some people who will speak in Hindi, so which I think will make up for it. And we'll try and do translations, very quick gist of the translations. थोड़ा आगे आ जाएंगे, बाकी पीछे जो लोग बैठे हैं, people who are sitting at the back, it would really help us if you could come in front. ಮುಂದ್ಗಡೆ ಬಂದರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಹಿಂದೆ ಕೂತಿರೋರು. Okay, so this, I'm going to start now. We'll do a formal introduction a little later. But what this is in some ways a continuation of the conversation that we had yesterday. So there was a first conversation that we had as a group of young people, and that conversation has a history of conversations that have happened in Ahmedabad and in other places when the Kisan Swaraj Sammelan has happened. तो आज की जो चर्चा चल रही है, ये कल रात को एक ग्रुप वहाँ हॉल में बैठ के हम लोगों ने साथ में चर्चा की है, और इस चर्चा को आगे ले जाने का एक प्रक्रिया है ये. ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು ನಿನ್ನೆ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಊಟ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಯೂತ್ ಮತ್ತು ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಮುಂದೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆ ಇವತ್ತಿಲ್ಲಿ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿರೋದು. ಸೊ ದ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿರೋರು ನಾನು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಅವರ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದ ವೇ ವಿ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ದ ಸೆಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ದೆರ್ ಆರ್ 3 questions and all these young people here will respond to those questions. And at the end of it, we have an option. We are opening the floor to anybody who can talk about it. And we also want, as a part of this process, to make sure that there is possibility of creating and taking this forward. So it's not about ending this as a discussion today, but going forward, how do we make sure that this energy that we can hopefully create here will continue? And it's not something that we talk about today and end, and then we come back a year later and wonder why this has not gone forward. So we will also talk at the end of it about what is it that we will take forward with it. Yeah? I think I'll start with, okay, Kannadadalli helbeka. Does anybody need a Kannada translation? Okay. Actually, ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡೋ ವಿಷಯಗಳು ಮೇನ್ ಆಗಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸೀಮಿತ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಇದನ್ನು ಮುಂದೆ ಹೇಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ ಮತ್ತು ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳಿದೆ ನಮಗೆ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ. ಇವತ್ತೊಂದು ವರ್ಷ ಬಂದು ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವರ್ಷ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸಲ ಕಿಸಾನ್ ಸ್ವರಾಜ್ ಸಮ್ಮೇಳನಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದು ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಯೂತ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಸರಿಯಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾನ್ ಇರೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಮುಂದುವರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಎಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಇವತ್ತು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಈ 7 ಜನರಿಗೆ 3 ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿದೆ. ಅವರ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ರೀತಿ ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಅದನ್ನಿಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಮತ್ತು ಅದನ್ನು ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆನ ಮುಂದುವರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ मल्टीपल लैंग्वेजेस. इज इट वर्किंग? हिंदी में मेरी हिंदी समझ आ रही है सबको? Okay, so there's, yeah, thank you. So I'll start this very quickly with something that came up yesterday. So we won't go back to that process. When we started the conversation, it was interesting that we started with, is there a crisis in agriculture and youth? Are young people leaving agriculture, or young people are disillusioned with agriculture? What is the crisis? And it was interesting, the number of things that came up. There were things that came up about the fact that, and it's a conversation that was very interesting. How many of you would think that young farmers have high value in the marriage market? Young male farmers, do they have a high value in the marriage market? Yes, no? How many of you think it is a yes? Okay, it's, I think, very telling that nobody here thinks that young farmers have value in the marriage market. I know that we are talking about marriage. The institution of marriage itself is something that also we discussed about, whether it's important. Pavitra had a very important point about it. But it was an indication of what is the way that farmers are perceived and agriculture is perceived? And that was a question that came up. Can we talk about it? So we talked about it from a social lens, we talked about it from a political lens, from an economic lens, and from an ecological lens. So all these aspects were covered. One of the things that came up was also that education and the education system is a part of this problem, of how the education system does not value agriculture, farming, and the relationship between human beings and nature. There was another question that came up about identity and dignity. The fact that farmers are seen as people who are still left behind. So today what we will do is go forward from here. Is there hope and possibilities? Does anybody need a translation into Hindi or Kannada? Kannada. Wow. Do you want to try it? Somebody trying a Hindi translation?
Yeah.
Hindi. Okay. तो हम कल जो चर्चा हुई थी इसके बारे में मैं एक टिप्पणी देने की कोशिश कर रहा था. पहला प्रश्न था ये कि कोई किसान से शादी करने के लिए बहुत खुशी से करेगा या नहीं, मैरिज मार्केट में उनका क्या मौल्य है. तो किसी ने यहाँ हाथ में उठाया और कहा कि हाँ, किसान का मैरिज मार्केट में बहुत वैल्यू है. तो उस उदाहरण को देके हम ये बात करना चाहते हैं कि कल चर्चा हुई कि खेती जो कर रहे हैं और युवजन जो खेती कर रहे हैं उनके आगे क्या क्या प्रश्न है. एक था कि सोशल आइडेंटिटी की बात थी, इकोनॉमिक प्रॉब्लम्स की बात थी, इकोलॉजिकल प्रॉब्लम्स की बात थी, और उसके साथ एक और था कि एजुकेशन सिस्टम जो है, हमारा एजुकेशन सिस्टम जो है वो खेती को किस नज़रिए से देखता है और एजुकेटेड लोग खेती को किस नज़रिए से देखते हैं. और जब एजुकेशन हो जाती है तो वो खेती के लिए वापस क्यों नहीं आते, उनको भगा दे, एजुकेशन से उनको भगाया जाता है क्या, या जिन्होंने एजुकेशन किया वो वापस खेती में आके कैसे अपने जिंदगी को बना सकते हैं, ये चर्चा हुई थी. ओके, द लास्ट बिट ऑफ द ट्रांसलेशन इज इनटू कन्नड़ा. ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಕಮ್ ಓಕೆ, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಿಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ, ನೆನ್ನೆ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ನೆನ್ನೆ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿರೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ರೈತರನ್ನ ಮದುವೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ತಯಾರಿದ್ದಾರಾ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ತುಂಬ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ.
Only way you'll be able to manage language is them to sit together.
Okay.
Otherwise, your panelists will not get any time to
speak. Yeah. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಕನ್ನಡ ಗ್ರೂಪಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? English to Hindi, you'll do it. Can all the people who need Hindi translation sit together?
Please sit together as language groups. Otherwise, from the stage, you won't be able to get a chance to listen to the panelists at all. Just sit together. I think Neeta Ben and others are here. Gujarati and Hindi is possible. Hindi people can come here, please. All Kannadigas sit in one place in the middle. Kannadigas in the middle. And which other language were you translating into? Tamil? You were translating just now? No, okay. Okay, just Hindi, if you can come here. Huh? Okay, हाँ, वहाँ पे एक ग्रुप बैठ जाए. और ट्रांसलेटर कौन है वहाँ पे? Okay, please go ahead and form yourselves into a Hindi group. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kavita. That was useful. Yeah. Okay, so we'll start with the questions. And so what I want all of you to do is, if you can introduce yourself through telling us about your relationship and journey with agriculture. What is that relationship? What is your journey in agriculture? Tell us a little bit about yourself as a part of it. Just keep it as crisp as possible because we have to, there are lots of people who are doing this. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Utsa, and my parents have been working in this space for almost 10 years now. So I've grown up visiting farms, I've grown up around plants and such like. And also, I studied at a boarding school, so there as well, trees and I mean, not so much farming, but at least like natural environments were a very important part of my life. So, though it has taken me a long time to actually learn deeply and actually start working on the field and things, the environment around me has always been connected to farming, connected to food, connected to agriculture. So, that's my rooting and background in that.
हेलो, मैं शुभेंदु दास हूँ, वेस्ट बंगाल से आई हूँ। एक्चुअली मतलब मेरा जो एरिया आता है वो एक्चुअली पूरा एग्रीकल्चर बेस है और मेरा फैमिली ऑक्यूपेशन मेन ऑक्यूपेशन फार्मिंग ही है। तो मैं जब 5 क्लास में पढ़ रहा था तो मैं गांव छोड़ के चला गया बाहर, कुछ दिन कलकत्ता में पढ़ाई किया, उसके बाद कुछ दिन भुवनेश्वर में पढ़ाई किया। उसके बाद जब मैं ग्रेजुएशन कंप्लीट हुआ, मास्टर डिग्री कंप्लीट हुआ, उसके बाद मुझे एक जॉब लग गया। तो मैं मेरा घर से करीब 150 किलोमीटर के अंदर एक जॉब कर रहा था। तो हमारा एक फेस्टिवल होता है दुर्गा पूजा, उसमें मैं घर आया था। तो घर आके देखा कि कुछ मिसिंग सा लग रहा था। मतलब हमारे वहाँ पे उस टाइम जस्ट फास्ट केमिकल स्टार्ट हो रहा था यूज होने। तो एक दर्द सा शुरू होना हुआ, मतलब कुछ लगा कि कुछ ना कुछ तो खामती है, कुछ ना कुछ तो करना चाहिए, क्या करे ऐसे सोच रहे थे। तो उसके बाद मैं खेती में जुड़ा, काम करने लगा। तो एक टैग भी लग गया कि पागल नाम का एक टैग भी लग गया। ठीक है, वो अभी फ़िलहाल है भी, धीरे धीरे काम करता गया, अभी चल रहा है सभी। तो बहुत सारे लोग आके अभी धीरे धीरे जुड़ भी रहे हैं, काम कर भी रहे हैं। एक्चुअली मेन दिक्कत था कि उस टाइम चासी लोग चास छोड़ रहे थे, खेती छोड़ के वो बाहर जाके लेबर का काम कर रहे थे। मेन दिक्कत क्या था कि वो जो स्टूडेंट लोग थे उनको तो क्या था कि वो परंपरा, ये तो परंपरा का चीज़ है, परंपरा से नहीं आ रहा था, वो लोग गैप हो रहा था कुछ। तो क्या करे, इसलिए सभी के घर के जाके हमने बातचीत किया। जिन जिन पिताजी ने चास के साथ जुड़ा हुआ है उनको हमने बोला कि देखिए ये आपका परंपरा के अंतर्गत आपका पिताजी से आपको मिला है, अगर आप रहते हुए आपके बेटे को भी ये मिल जाएगा तो ये टिक पाएगा, नहीं तो इसको हम कैसे भी करके रोक नहीं पाएंगे। तो अभी फ़िलहाल हमारे गांव में 70% यंग पीपल फार्मिंग कर रहा है। उनका पिताजी भी लोग उनको सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि वो लोग देख रहे हैं कि ये कैसे कर रहा है। अगर कुछ खेती भी हो जाएगा, बिगड़ भी जाएगा तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, क्योंकि वो है गाइड करने वाला, संभाल लेंगे। लेकिन उनके ना रहते हुए अगर इसके ऊपर जिम्मेदारी आएगा तो खेती बाड़ी कर ही नहीं पाएंगी। इसलिए यही चल रहा है बस। थैंक यू।
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಸುಮಾ. ನಾನು ಹುಟ್ಟಿನಿಂದ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿಯಿಂದ, ವ್ಯವಸಾಯದ ಕುಟುಂಬದಿಂದ ಬಂದಿರೋಳು. ಮತ್ತು ನಾನೊಬ್ಳು ಗಾಯಕಿ, ಬೇರು ಬೆವರು ಕಲಾ ಬಳಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಗಾಯಕಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಮತ್ತು ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಗಿ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಾನು ಹೇಗೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಹುಟ್ಟಿನಿಂದ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಲ್ವ, ಹುಟ್ಟಿನಿಂದ ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ವ್ಯವಸಾಯದ ಜೊತೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಮ್ಮದು ಒಂದು ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ. ಮತ್ತು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಬೆಳೆದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಮತ್ತು ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಕೂಡ ಬೆಳೆದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಈಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಮತ್ತು ನನ್ನ ಸಾಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಕ ಜೀವನ ಮತ್ತು ನನ್ನ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣದ ಜೀವನ ಕೂಡ ಮುಂದುವರಿಸ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
Just wanted to check, does anybody need translation to English? Okay, Kannada to English. Does the Hindi need to be translated into English? Hindi, that was fine? Okay, great. Yeah, so what Suma was talking about is that she is from Kolar, and she is a musician. She's a part-time lecturer, and she's from an agricultural family in Karnataka. And she's also seen that and has been a part of that process of working on the fields, working in the field, and doing this. So she also yeah, that's her introduction.
Myself Pavitra from Kerala, and I don't have any family background of farming, nor I don't have any financial support. but realization towards food and healthy food and health makes me to come to the farming. When I am thinking about good food, I want to leave my job. So we means me and my husband left the job and started farming. Fortunately, I got an opportunity to work with Salimari Foundation. It's an NGO working for biodiversity conservation. They are doing a project, eco-friendly sustainable development project. From there, they are saying to the people, you should do farming. But nobody is there for showing that farming is a profitable thing. How to make profit from farming. So we started ourselves to do farming in 2017 with the help of our friends. And farming is going very successful. We are making paddy farming. We are doing paddy farming and making value-added products like rice flakes, puttu powder, rice powder, etc. and selling. And I will say very proudly that farming can make profit. But the youth people are facing a problem because of society mentality. That's it.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೆ. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಜನಾರ್ದನ್. ನಮ್ಮದು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ, ತುಮಕೂರು. ನಮ್ಮ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ಜವನಹಳ್ಳಿ, ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹಳ್ಳಿ, ಒಂದು 50 ಮನೆ ಇರುವ ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮದು ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು 5 ಎಕರೆ ಜಮೀನಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಭಾಳ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ವಯಸ್ಸಿಂದಲೂ ಕೃಷಿ ಜೊತೆ, ಪರಿಸರದ ಜೊತೆ ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಸುಸ್ಥಿರವಾದ ಬದುಕು ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಜೀವನ ಸಾಗಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಂದು ಆಸೆ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಕೂಡ ರಾಗಿ, ತೆಂಗು, ಮತ್ತು ನನಗೆ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ಬಂದಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಹಣ್ಣಿನ ಗಿಡಗಳು ಈ ಥರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕಿ ಬೆಳೀತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಜೊತೇಲಿ ನಾನೊಂದು ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಸವಾಲುಗಳಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಮುಂದೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
This Janardhan is from a small village in Tumkur. There are 50 families in that village, and they grow ragi, coconut, and after he's taken on the responsibility of agriculture, they're also growing fruits. He has always been interested in agriculture and is now actively being a farmer. And he also does work with another organization as a part of, along with doing agriculture.
मैं रेखा गया बिहार से। मेरा बचपन पटना के गांव में गुजरा। वहाँ अच्छा पढ़ाई का माहौल तो था नहीं, लेकिन चाहत थी पढ़ने का, तो परिवार से सपोर्ट मिला और कोशिश की जितना अच्छा कॉलेज हो सके। तो कॉलेज का तो नाम लिखाई, लेकिन जाकर पढ़ाई करने का ऑप्शन नहीं था। घर पे ही सारा पढ़ाई हुआ। लेकिन अच्छा पढ़ाई का चाहत थी हमारे परिवार में। फैमिली से सपोर्ट मिला, जितना चाहो पढ़ सकते हो। हमने काफ़ी अच्छा पढ़ाई की। दिल्ली में जाकर के पढ़ाई करने का मौका मिला, वहाँ पर भी पढ़ाई किया। ये सब करने के बाद हमें महसूस हुआ कि हम कर क्यों रहे हैं, मकसद क्या है। जीवन जीने का मकसद है, अच्छा जीवन जीना है हमें। लेकिन हम जिस ओर जा रहे हैं, अच्छा जीवन हम नहीं जी सकते, ऐसा महसूस होने लगा। दिल्ली में पढ़ाई करने के बाद ऑप्शन जॉब का मिला, जॉब के लिए अच्छी सैलरी मिली। फिर मुझे लगा कि जो चीज़ हमारे जीवन के लिए ज़रूरी है, महत्वपूर्ण है, वो नहीं मिल रहा है। और मुझे लगा नहीं मिल सकता। तो हमने डिसाइड किया कि हमें इस तरह के जीवन को नहीं जीना है। लेकिन घर में खेती से संबंधित कोई अनुभव नहीं था, कोई ज़मीन नहीं थी। फिर भी मुझे लगा कि मर तो यहाँ रहे हैं तो अच्छा है, घर जाकर ही मरेंगे। और दिल्ली छोड़ना, नौकरी छोड़ना तय कर लिया और वापस आ गए। जब घर पे आए, सबके शब्द यही थे, आप लोग पागल हो गए हो। हम और हमारे हस्बैंड दोनों को, इन्हें काफ़ी पढ़ाई किया था, अपने जगह के अनुसार सबसे अच्छा पढ़ाई किया था। अब हो रहा था ये दोनों कोई पागल हो गए हैं, कहीं भी जाओ बस यही सुनने को मिल रहा था। मुझे ये बात महसूस होने लगा, पागल तो नहीं हुए, लेकिन अगर इस माहौल में रहेंगे तो ज़रूर पागल हो जाएंगे। स्थिति ऐसी होती है, आप जब सोच रहे हैं उसके सीधा उल्टा रिस्पॉन्स आपको मिलने वाला है। दो क्राइसिस हम लोगों के सामने आ जाता है, एक तो कि हम अपना जीवन अच्छे से जी नहीं पा रहे हैं, और दूसरा लोग को कैसे खुश करें। तो हमें तो अपना देखना ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है, हम लोग को खुश नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि उनकी एक्सपेक्टेशन काफ़ी अलग और हमसे जुड़ा हुआ नहीं है, उनका एक्सपेक्टेशन उनसे जुड़ा हुआ है। फिर हम लोगों ने गांव में शुरू किया, कैसे करें क्या करें, तो रहना शुरू किया। खेती के लिए सब लोगों ने बोला कि तुम तो क तक भी नहीं जानते हो, कैसे खेती करोगे। बोली हाँ वो तो सही बात है। शुरू किया सब सीखना, और जो हम महसूस कर रहे थे, हम खेती करेंगे, हम अच्छे से जी लेंगे, ये मुझे तो मालूम है, हमारे अंदर विश्वास है ऐसा, लेकिन क्या ये सही सफिशिएंट होगा, उचित है? तो मुझे लगा कि ये उचित नहीं है। क्या जरूरी है, हम इतने अच्छे से पढ़ाई किए फिर भी हमारे लोग हमें पागल कर रहे हैं। हम जब सही जीवन जीने की तरफ जा रहे हैं तो हमें जो आनंद मिल रहा है वो हम आनंद की तरफ जा रहे हैं, तो क्यों कहा जा रहा है हमें पागल? क्योंकि शिक्षा की मांग है, अच्छी नौकरी, अच्छी सैलरी, अच्छे पोशाक, अच्छी घर महल, ये सब, और वो सब शायद जीवित इंसान के लिए ज़रूरी नहीं है, जीवित स्पेसीज के लिए वो सब ज़रूरी नहीं है। हम एक प्राकृतिक का पार्ट हैं, और वो हम जब उस तरह के जीवन चुनते हैं तब उसके पार्ट से अलग होते हैं। हम आनंद से अलग होते हैं, वैभव वाला सुख भले ही मिलेगा। ये सब सोच करके हम लोगों ने सोचा कि नहीं, हमें एजुकेशन को साथ लेके चलना है, एजुकेशन को हम नहीं छोड़ सकते। इसलिए हमने एजुकेशन पे भी काम शुरू किया, और हमारे साथ अभी बच्चे रहते हैं, पढ़ाई करते हैं। और पढ़ाई का भी है कि एजुकेशन सिर्फ नहीं, ओके ठीक है, तो हम अभी ये सारे काम कर रहे हैं, और बस इतना ही।
Do you need a translation? She said something very powerful in terms of, yeah. So I'll do a very bad job of it, but I'll attempt. What she talked about essentially is that she is someone who from her village went to Patna, studied in Patna, went to Delhi, studied in Delhi, lived in Delhi, got a job in Delhi, and something was troubling her. She was uncomfortable with being in that space, and she made this very powerful statement that if you have to die in Delhi, I might as well go back home and die rather than die in Delhi. So decided to leave, and she and her husband moved back to her village, and people were shocked that someone who is as highly educated as her from her own community and in her own context is actually throwing up a good life and has come and chosen something and was called mad. Everybody thought that they were completely crazy and foolish about making a choice like this. So she said there were some other very powerful statements that Rekha made about how the expectations from others and the expectations that you have of yourself, and how there is a contradiction with these expectations, and how do we try, and do we waste our lives trying to match those expectations, or is it about doing something that we want to do? So and she's not from a farming family, there is no land. They took land on lease and started agriculture, and that's the story forward. Now, there will be another round where we'll add to it. So she also recognizes the need of the role of education in it. So they also run an education program. So as we go forward, we'll talk about that, which is why I stopped her, and we'll move to Harsha.
Hello everyone, my name is Sri Harsha. I'm from Hyderabad, brought up in Hyderabad, nowhere have any roots in rural, neither visited much of rural in all my childhood. So I was a regular, the IT engineer, gone through BTech, got into the bus, the so-called bus, and traveled to the IT companies. I was into supply chain management, consulting, worked for 8 years, was traveling in few countries. When I was in UK, one point of time, there was a news that there was a building which collapsed in Bangladesh. So I was working for Walmart at that point of time. And I started questioning people in Walmart within the team and outside, saying, okay, fine, why, what happened there, right? And I was reading in papers, but I saw no guilt within the system, within Walmart, that they are responsible for this over-exploitation. That building collapsed because there were people who were stitching and making clothes, fancy clothes for export, which were at a very dead cheap rates, and the labor was over-utilized. So that hit me really hard. I was sitting there and making very efficient systems for this exploitation of these companies, and they were squeezing as much labor as possible from the supply chain. So this efficient supply chain, I could really clearly see through it, and I could not live with it for long. I came back and put my papers. I know I'm very privileged. A lot, 90%, not probably 99% of India can't do this. I thought I should use my privilege and live a less guiltier life. So after that, I started exploring social entrepreneurship and various other things. Luckily, I could meet Kavita in one of these, Kavita Kurganti in one of these paths, which led me to understanding organic agriculture and various other things. I started focusing on marketing of organic agriculture. I tried to even sell vegetables, groceries in bazaar in my front of my home. I pushed in my mother also and said, hey, we'll do it in a community hub kind of a thing. We tried to do it for some time. But eventually, I started participating in protests for local parks and various other things. So that's where my protest journey and that just started. But slowly, with local farmer groups, also I got connected. That's the power of ASHA. You don't stick to sustainable agriculture, but you connect to other parts of it. So we started visiting the farmer suicide families in villages and understanding the distress more deeply. I was really moved by, and I thought, what I could do. And eventually we landed into one wonderful human being. She's a district collector in one of these district called Vikarabad in Telangana. And we thought, what could we do to solve on this, on the farmer suicides, what could we do? And we discussed and we ended up at a helpline which we could work for the farmers. So Kisan Mitra helpline was initiated 5 years back, where we listened to farmers' grievances and work with the district administration on resolving them. So for the past 5 years, we have a field team also here. So we have been working as a collective on running a farmer helpline, which mediates between the government and the farmers. Apart from that, also focusing on all the what ASHA does. Yeah.
Thank you. So I think it's very obvious from this panel that we have that the issue of youth in agriculture is a very complex question. It's not just about farmers alone. Farmers are central to it. But there is an entire set of young people and young people's lives, stories, aspirations that are linked to the story of agriculture. So what we were hoping to do with this very diverse panel, people who come from farming families who are struggling with what do we do, people who come from non-farming families saying that agriculture is the option, people who come from completely urban settings who are saying, I don't see meaning with the way I live and I want to deepen those connections with nature and with people and society and respond to it. So I think when we have a conversation like this, what is fascinating about it is that each of us has a role in it and from a different point of view and from a different space. So this is what really we want to achieve through this session of how can all these young people and the possibilities that they bring and the aspirations that they have get accommodated into the kind of spaces and the kind of work that we do, and how do we address these questions. Because very often as a society, I think we talk for young people and we talk down to young people. There is very little space for young people to say what they want to say and what they want to do and how they want to do it. And I think in all the stories, there was this story of pressure about and expectations from what they're supposed to do. And every single story has this thing about, I have gone away from those expectations and I have decided to set my own expectations of myself and what is required. So how does this energy come together? How do we do something with this is, I think, a challenge for many of us sitting here. I know that I've also not introduced myself. I'll just do it in one quick line. I've been with multiple organizations in the development space. I worked with the organization Samvada that actually has been my journey into this space of working in the space of activism. I presently work for Greenpeace, and I've also been a educationist working in the Azim Premji University. I've been a teacher. I've also worked on curriculum and different kinds of things. And my interest in agriculture has primarily been through Samvada and the work that we've done with young people in Samvada. Yeah. So I have a next question for all of you, and it's something that we talked about. What is it that really pushed you to do agriculture? Some of you talked about why you moved away from what it is. And what do you see as some of the things that you want to deepen and do more in that space? And what is the idea of hope that we can create? So, and link it to your journeys. We don't need a long thing about, because I think the context that we're talking about all these issues. But within your own journey and your own understanding, how have you worked on it? What are you doing? How do you want to do more? And what do you want to do more about? So do you want to start? Yeah. Okay, shall we start from this edge? Okay, we can even do it randomly. We don't have to follow. Yeah.
Yeah. हमें क्यों और क्या ज़रूरत है उस पर सोचने की ज़रूरत है। हम कृषि क्यों नहीं अपनाते, उससे पहले हमें डर लगता है, इसमें बहुत मेहनत है, सुविधा नाम की कोई चीज़ नहीं है, कैसे करेंगे, ये सारी डर हम लोगों को रहता है। लेकिन जब हम फील्ड में रहते हैं, खेतों में रहते हैं, काम करते हैं, और जब हम कुछ उगाते हैं और जब उगता है उसको हम जब देखते हैं, फिर जो कुछ फल आता है उसको हम चखते हैं, हमारे आसपास के लोग खाते हैं, और जब वो बड़ा पेड़ पौधा लगाते हैं, बड़ा होता है, आसपास में जो हरियाली आती है, फूल खिलते हैं, उसकी खुशबू जो फैलती है, और वो जो आनंद देता है, वो आनंद हम सबों को कहीं नहीं मिल सकता, कोई नहीं दे सकता, कोई प्रॉपर्टी नहीं दे सकती। इसीलिए हमने खेती चुना।
ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. ಯಾ ಓಕೆ ಎಸ್. ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ತುಂಬ ಒತ್ತಡ ಇದೆ. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾನು ಮಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಇನ್ ಸೈಕಾಲಜಿ ಓದಿದ್ದು. ಅವರು ಪ್ರೆಸರು ಮತ್ತು ರಿಲೇಷನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತು ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ನೀನು ಸಿಟಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬದುಕು ಕಟ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಲ್ಲ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ದು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ 5 ಎಕರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರಾವರಿ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಆ ಥರದ್ದು ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸುಮಾರು ಒಂದು 4-5 ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ಬೋರ್ವೆಲ್ ಹಾಕಿ ನಾವು ತುಂಬ ಸಾಲಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ ತುಂಬ ಕಷ್ಟ ಬೀಳ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆ ಕೂಡ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಇದು ಮಳೆಯನ್ನೇ ನಂಬಿಕೊಂಡು ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನನಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತುಂಬ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಯಿತು. ಹಾಕಿ ಬಂಡವಾಳ ಹಾಕಿ ಅದು ಪುನಃ ವಾಪಸ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಯಿತು. ಸೊ ನನಗೆ ಏನನ್ನಿಸ್ತು ಅಂದರೆ ಪುನಃ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲೇ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನನ್ನ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದೇನೆಂದರೆ ನಮ್ಮನೇಲಿ ಯಾರು ಕೂಡ ಅಂದರೆ ಜೀವನ ನಡೆಸೋಕ್ಕೆ ತಿಂಗ್ಳಿಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ಅಂತ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬೇಕು, ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಇವತ್ತು ಒಂದು ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೂ ಒಂದು 10,000 to 15,000 ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಸಡನ್ನಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೊಲದಿಂದ ಏನೂ ಆದಾಯ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಪುನಃ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆದರೆ ಪುನಃ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಓದಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಷಯಗಳಿಗೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಆವಾಗ ನಾನು ಪುನಃ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ದಿನ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದಷ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಸಾಕ್ಸೋಕೆ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ದುಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಪುನಃ ನಾವು ವಾಪಸ್ ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಇವಾಗ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ವೀಕೆಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಜೀವನನ ಸಾಗಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸೊ ನನಗೆ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತಾಯಿದೆ. ಅಂತಿಮವಾಗಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವರ್ಷಗಳಾದಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಇವಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು 34 ವರ್ಷ, ಒಂದು 40 ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಫುಲ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಬದುಕನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತು ತುಂಬ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಮಾದರಿಯಾಗಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡಾಗಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಈಗ ಸದ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆ ಕೂಡ ಏನು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಬಂದಿರೋರು. ಸೊ ನನಗೆ ಸಂವಾದ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಪರಿಚಯ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಸ್ಥಿರ ಕೃಷಿಗೆ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಸಾವಯವ ಕೃಷಿನೇ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅದರಲ್ಲೇ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳು ತುಂಬ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನನಗೂ ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ತುಂಬ ಕ್ಲ್ಯಾಶ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಅಂತಿಮವಾಗಿ ನನಗೆ 1 ಎಕರೆ ಜಮೀನನ್ನು ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇದರೊಳಗಡೆ ನೀನು ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರೊಳಗಡೆನೂ ತೆಂಗು ಹಾಕಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಒಂದು 40 to 60 ತೆಂಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದರೊಳಗಡೆ ನಾನು ಈಗ ಸದ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಟ್ರ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ ಆಗಿ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಹಣ್ಣಿನ ಗಿಡಗಳು ಆ ಥರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈಗ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಅದಷ್ಟು ಹಣ್ಣುಗಳು ಬರೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅದು ನನಗೆ ಖುಷಿ ಕೊಡೋ ವಿಷಯ. ಸೊ ತುಂಬ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳನ್ನು ನಾನು ಹುಡುಕಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಮುಂದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಅಳವಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೊ ಮಚ್.
So what Janardhan is talking about is the fact that he did a master's in psychology, and the expectations from him based on the master's in psychology was that he works and brings in money into the family. And he also realized that when he chose to go back and do agriculture, that the family needed a lot of support. And he's saying that even today, even in a village, you need about 15,000 rupees at least to be able to make some sort of a living and not just survive. And those expectations have meant, and his own realization that that is something that he has to do, he has moved to doing agriculture on the weekends and going and working through the rest of the week. But he's living on the farm, he's living in that space and continuing to do it as a farmer. And by the time he turns 40, he hopes that he will be able to give up everything else and do farming fully. And he also realizes that there has been, his father's been doing chemical farming. So there have been lots of clashes after he did this Samvada course and realized that chemical farming is not the way forward. So there have been lots of clashes in the family, and now finally 1 acre has been set aside for him where he can do his experiments, and he's doing that, and he has coconuts and he's trying to make it more diverse and do it with that.
In Kerala, each home there is 2 diabetic patient and 1 kidney patient or cancer patient. I see this situation very well when I visited a cancer hospital in Trivandrum. If you are going through the children's department, you can see how they are struggling. One day I went there because my father also died through cancer. So I know the situation well. We have food, we are having food, we are buying food from outside. But all food, we are thinking that food are good. Actually, it is not good. We are having only poisons. So this realization came to me, makes me to think what we can do for the society. So I gone through the farming. I don't know farming at all. I never visited in the paddy farming before. But we faced a lot of issues. We don't have any land. So that time, anyway, some people helped us to get the land for lease. 15 acres fallow land we cultivated by using traditional varieties. That also fully organically. So this paddy, what we can do, we can't collect the paddy into our home and keeping, isn't it? It's very difficult for us. There is no go down, nothing. So we are keeping this paddy into our home, and we are making the products like rice and rice powder, etc. So again we are facing problem like a rat, because in our home is like a go down, and the dust will be there. But still we are managing, and we want to go forward, because I don't want to be a cancer patient, and I don't want to see my family struggling with cancer, and I don't want to see my friends are struggling with the cancer. So I requested my friends that you please come forward, not in farming, please buy our products and have a good life. Don't spend more money to the hospital, and they will spending more money to the mall, and they are having KFG, what will say, McDonald's, KFG food. Please keep this amount, whatever you are spending in the mall, you keep this amount to buy good products from the farmers directly and help them. J.C. Kumarappa and Gandhiji says that Indian economy is in the hands of farmers, isn't it? And there is a saying like Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. But Jawan, they have getting all facilities. They are getting, their families getting all facilities. Their kids are going to the very big education, very good schools. So what family, our, okay, fine. I went forward in farming, and this is makes me to continuing the farming.
ಓಕೆ, ನಾನು ಜನರಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಯೂತ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಏನು ತೊಂದರೆಗಳಿದೆ ಕೃಷಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಂದುವರಿಯೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋವಂಥ ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ, ಒಂದು ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ನೋಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋರಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮತ್ತು ಅವರು ವ್ಯವಸಾಯ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದಾಗ, ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಅವರನ್ನು ಹುಚ್ಚರ ಥರ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದನ್ನು ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಯಾಕೆ ಈ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ನನಗನ್ಸಿರೋದ್ರ ಪ್ರಕಾರ, ನಮ್ಮ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಕೃಷಿಯ ಮಹತ್ವವನ್ನು ತಿಳಿಸೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಮತ್ತು ರಿಯಾಲಿಟಿಯಿಂದ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ದೂರ ಇರೋವಂಥ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ನ ನಾವು ಓದ್ಕೊತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ ಫಾರ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ರಿಯಾಲಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ನನಗನ್ಸಿದೆ. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಥರದ ನಿಜವಾದ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಈ ಥರದ ಇವರ ಜರ್ನಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು, ಮತ್ತು ಕೃಷಿಗೆ ಮರಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋದಾದರೆ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ಸು ಅದರ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋವಂಥ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ಸನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ ನಾವು ಈಗ ನಿಜವಾದ ಎಜುಕೇಷನನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ನನ್ನ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಮತ್ತು ಜನಪರ ಫೌಂಡೇಶನ್ ಜೊತೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದಿನ ನೋಡಿದೆ, ಹೇಗೆ ಅವರು ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಕೃಷಿಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾವು ನೋಡಿರುವಂಥ ಕೃಷಿಗೂ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋಂಥ ಕೃಷಿಗೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಮಗೆ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಮತ್ತು ಎಜುಕೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಯಾಕೆ ಕಲಿಸ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋದಾದರೆ, ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಎಷ್ಟು ದೂರ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗಿರುವಂಥ ಸಂಬಂಧನೇ ಈಗ ದೂರ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂಥ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಗಳು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಆದಷ್ಟು ನಾವು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಟಿ ವಿಷಯಗಳು ಬಂದಾಗ ನಾವು ಯಾಕೆ ಈಗಿನ ಯುವಜನತೆ ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಯುವತಿಯರು ಯಾಕೆ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋದಾದರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿನೇ ನಾನು ಸ್ವತಃ ಒಂದು ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಕುಟುಂಬದಿಂದ ಬಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು. ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾನೆ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. 100% ಕೆಲಸ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 70% ಅಷ್ಟು ಕೆಲಸಗಳು ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಮಹಿಳೆಯನ್ನ ರೈತಳು ಅಂತ ಯಾರೂ ಕೂಡ ಗುರುತಿಸೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಈ ಥರದ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಕೆಲವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಒಬ್ಬ ಕವಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬರೀತಾರೆ, ಮೊಟ್ಟ ಮೊದಲು ಮಣ್ಣು ಮುಟ್ಟಿದವಳು ಹೆಣ್ಣು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು. ಮೊಟ್ಟ ಮೊದಲು ಮಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಮುಟ್ಟಿ ಕೃಷಿಯನ್ನು ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇ ಹೆಣ್ಣು ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದಾಗ, ಮತ್ತು ಕೃಷಿಯಲ್ಲಿ 70% ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನು ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋವಾಗ, ಮತ್ತು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಆಲಿಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಮತ್ತು ಸಪೋರ್ಟಿವ್ ವರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಅವೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಟಿ ಕ್ರೈಸಿಸ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಗುರುತಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳನ್ನು ಗುರುತಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮತ್ತು ಅವ್ರಿಗೊಂದು ಡಿಗ್ನಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಾಗ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಅಡಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು. ಮತ್ತು ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಾಗ, ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾರೋ ಅಂಥ ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಅದನ್ನು ಯಾರು ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ? ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಯಾರು ಮಾರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ? ಗಂಡಸರ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಮತ್ತು ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ಸನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋವಂಥದ್ದು ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ಮೇಲ್ ಜನ್ರೇಷನ್ನೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಥರದ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಟಿ ಕ್ರೈಸಿಸ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತು ನಾನು ಒಬ್ಬ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕಿಯಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತು ಸಾಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಕ ವಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ನಾನು ಗುರುತಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅದರ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಕೃಷಿಯ ಇರುವಂಥ ಮಹತ್ವವನ್ನು ಜನರಿಗೆ ಸಾರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಪಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಮತ್ತು ಶಿಕ್ಷಕಿಯಾಗಿ ನನ್ನ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಕೃಷಿಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇರುವಂಥ ಒಲವನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಪಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇಷ್ಟು. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
Just a very quick translation. I'll start with the last part of what Suma said, that she's a college professor and she also is a musician. And through her cultural practice and through her education is where she is looking at how the education system can be responsive to the challenges that are there in agriculture, and also to change the stereotypes and the great disservice that the education system is doing to agriculture. So that is something that she clearly talked about. She also talked about the fact that, so the education system is something that she critiqued from the point of view that there is no space for the farmer, there is no, it's an anti-farmer, anti-agriculture kind of enterprise that actually keeps no space for agriculture, in fact is counter to agriculture as a choice. And she also talked about the fact that when we talk about farming and agriculture, women are left out of that conversation. 70% of the work in agriculture is done by women. Large part of all the agricultural operations, women are central to it. And still women don't have the rights to the land, women don't have the rights to decide what is grown, or even if they do all that, at the end of it, about marketing, about all the other choices and decisions related to agriculture are taken by men. And that is something that is also a part of the crisis of agriculture and the crisis that young women face. So when we talk about agriculture and youth, and when we talk of farmers, we often talk about men. What is the space for young women in agriculture, and how that space can be created is something that Suma is working around.
एक्चुअली मुझे मन का बहुत शांति मिलता है, इसलिए मैं करता हूँ. मेरे ऊपर कोई दबाव नहीं है, पहले बात. दूसरी बात, हमने जब ये काम स्टार्टिंग किया तो हमें एक प्रॉब्लम फेस हुई. वो ये है कि जो किसान धान उगाता है वो 19 रुपये में बेचता है. वही धान जो प्रोक्योर करके मार्केट में बेचता है वो 50 रुपये में बेचता है। ये दिक्कत है, ये बनाया है लेकिन इसको नहीं मिल रहा है, वो नहीं बनाया है उसको ज़्यादा मिल रहा है। तो हमने स्टार्ट किया गांव में कि कैसे खाने को प्रोक्योरमेंट करके बाज़ार में छोड़ा जाए। तो इसके अंदर क्या हुआ, फार्मर्स का इकोनॉमिकली बहुत ग्रोथ हुआ, इसलिए बहुत सारे फार्मर्स ने हमारे साथ जुड़ा। और दूसरी बात एक बुरा सबसे लगता है, एक फार्मर्स को फूड के लिए डिपेंड करना पड़ता है मार्केट के ऊपर। वो वन टाइम सेलर है बट 99 टाइम्स वो कंज्यूमर है। इसलिए हमने क्या करें इस सोचते सोचते हमने स्टार्ट किया, क्योंकि हमारे गांव में बहुत सारे लैंड फ्री पड़ते हैं, खाली रहता है, अप्रोच राइट के रोड के साइड में, खेल के मैदान में बहुत सारे जगह खाली ऐसे ही पड़ते हैं, घर के आंगन में खाली पड़ते हैं। तो हमने किचन गार्डन उनके बाद स्टार्ट किया। और एक चीज़ है, जो किसान खाना उगाता है वही सबसे अनहेल्दी रहता है, वही ठीक से पेट भर के खा नहीं पाता है। तो इसके ऊपर हमने ज़्यादा फोकस किया और किचन गार्डन स्टार्ट किया। अभी वो चल रहा है, ठीक ठाक ही मतलब चल रहा है। हम लोग और भी सोच रहे हैं कि इसको आगे कैसे बढ़ाया जाए। थैंक यू। बहुत शॉर्ट टाइम है इसलिए मैं बहुत छोटे करके छोड़ रहा हूँ। थैंक यू।
I think what Shubhendu is talking about is that through his exploration, the one thing that affected him was the fact that there is such a big price difference between what the farmer sells at and what it actually is being sold in the larger open market when it finally reaches the retail space. He also, so there is work on that, and there is a fact that the supply chains need to become more equitable and just, and trying to work around that. The other part is that he started out actually with a very nice statement that I do this for nothing but because it gives me peace. I like the fact that it gives me peace, and that's why I do this. But the other things that he does it for are, one is this market inequity, and the fact that the farmer who grows it is ending up eating very little or eating food that is not the best quality. So he also started identifying empty spaces in common spaces and started kitchen gardening. So there is a huge kitchen gardening work that Shubhendu and his friends in the village are together doing in that area. Yeah.
वन मोर थिंग्स, सभी लोग बोलते हैं कि मार्केट नहीं है, मार्केट नहीं है। ऐसे बात नहीं है। आपका अगर आप ऑनेस्ट रहेंगे, आपका अगर क्रॉप अगर क्वालिटी रहेगा तो मार्केट आपके पास आएगा, आपको नहीं जाना पड़ेगा। क्योंकि हमने खाली खाना तैयार किया है, हम लोग को कहीं बेचने के लिए जाना नहीं पड़ा। क्योंकि हमारे गांव में भी बैंक होता है, ग्राम पंचायत होता है, स्कूल होता है। वहाँ पे जो जॉब करने वाला वो लोग तो खेती नहीं करते हैं, उनको तो फूड चाहिए। वो मार्केट से नहीं लेके हमारे पास से खरीदते हैं, क्योंकि उसका क्वालिटी अच्छा रहता है। आपको पहले फोकस करना पड़ेगा कि आप कितना ऑनेस्ट रह पा रहे हैं और आपका क्वालिटी कितना अच्छा हो रहा है। यही सबसे बड़ी चीज़ है मुझे लगता है।
He also talked about the fact that there are people in the village who are not all farmers. So there are people who work in other services in the community, and it is about also making sure that there are local markets which we are able to access. It's not about sending it far away somewhere.
Hello. So I think everyone here is a lot older than I am. I'm 18, and so I feel like I'm at a point where I'm still exploring a lot, learning a lot, and so this kind of idea that has stayed with me is there are things that I know I don't know, and there are things that I don't even know that I don't know, and so I want space to explore that. But what I do know is that food and farming is always going to be a part of my life, because we all eat, and I know I will eat till the very end because I have to survive. So wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, I know I will find space to grow my own food, to take that land to create, to recreate and regenerate the biodiversity, and keep that as an integral part of my life. Now, the other thing is that I'm only here today because of the background that I have and the people who I've met through, like, even before this, through So like my parents, then their friends, a lot of people who've been working in this space for many years. And I know that it's because of their influence that I'm so passionate about this or so determined about food and farming today. It's not because of the education I received, in the formal education that I received in school. So if there was one other thing that I would want to give time to in the coming years, it would be to find ways to integrate that into my school, because I spent time memorizing organic chemistry equations and learning physics formulae, but I don't know the trees that grow around in my own area. I don't know what plants grow, what we can eat, as well as I do all these things that I won't really use in my life. So if to find ways to bring those to every school and make them an integral part of our education is something that I would really like to work on, and would be my connection also in another way to food and farming. Yeah.
So I will turn 35 this December, so I am utilizing all opportunity of being called a youth, I think so. Next time they'll never call me up on this, probably. Yeah, I think so. Rekha ji put it very beautifully that, it really, so being on the field, for example, cultivating is, being agriculture is one part. For me, being on the field, listening to issues, trying to take them up to the concerned people, making these people's voices heard, gives me amazing fulfillment. I can sleep well, is what I have seen in the past 5-6 years. I'm very happy. A lot of people who I work in the field are here. I'm probably happy being in the hills in Adilabad, or being in the field in Vikarabad in Telangana, or in somewhere in Antapur, then probably being in Hyderabad is what I kind of understand. Of course, it's the people, the conversations, but also the whole point of, okay, you're actually playing a role, there is a gap there. There are, farmers have to do agriculture, they are busy with that. That itself they're not able to fix and grapple with climate change and various other factors, right? On top of that, they have to get access to money, bank, crop loan. Revenue, they have to get there. So you have to get in Telangana, we have Raitu Bandhu, we have PM Kisan, nowadays all governments are giving money. But you are identified as a farmer only if you have a document, land document. If you don't have that, you're not a farmer as per the government. You will not get any benefits. So it is a lot of stress. If you don't get that, you don't get the money. If you don't get that, then you're paying 25-36% interest rate for getting the same access to money, which probably we get around 10-11%. So these are very tough issues these people grapple with, and there is a lot of space in where they need support. For example, when and the bigger issue is you can see through the lies is the most interesting part, right? Politicians, various people keep saying, okay, fine, ours is the best state in agriculture. But we can see through the lies, in Telangana, there are 30% tenant farmers, 80% of the farmer suicides are by tenant farmers. The government does zero for them. It is only for the landowners. And day by day, we see more people are selling land because 1 crore, I'm well off not doing agriculture. 1 crore per acre I'll sell and live probably a comfortable life. It's what they think. Ideally is not, as we heard, or other, but the current distress is so bad, right? So these are questions which are very strong out there, and a lot more energies can be put in. And this drives, I believe it can drive a lot more people day in, day out, drives us a lot of people in Telangana and Raitu Swaraj Vedika. Another point is, what can we do also, what we are doing, right? For example, there a grievance comes. Let's say a farmer has got crop loss, he has reached out to us. Ideally, agriculture officer has to go, enumerate his land and say, okay, fine, I've written down your name, I'll forward your name. Then the district collector has to then gather all this across the district, say, okay, this is what it is in our district, and send it to state level. State level has to then release the funds, give it. Nothing is being done for the past 3 years in Telangana now. So what can we do is the question. So at step by step, there are various interventions which could be done. And from a simple grievance to going legally and fighting it out, filing RTIs, there's a lot in this space. So unraveling that space and getting energies is a very good experience in itself. Yeah, probably I'll add on more.
Thank you. So unfortunately, I think the way we've planned the session is that we have multiple voices as opposed to fewer voices and us talking on behalf of them. So we don't have too much time left. I am aware of the fact that there is half an hour. I had one more question, but maybe I will hold on to that. And I think move to this whole thing about, as a group here, we're a very large audience. I'm quite happy that so many people did turn up. So what is it, what I'm able to get a sense of is there are different things that each of them is doing, and there are different entry points to it. How do we, the rest of the group, also come together and be a part of that process is something that we could talk about. And how does this continue? How does this sustain? Can we create multiple groups? Because I think if you look at it, there are, I think almost all of them, every single person here, is doing something about collectivization and working, because one thing that is clear is that agriculture is not something that can be done by an individual. The fact that it has the word culture in it itself is a part of a larger social system, economic system, and those networks that exist as a part of it. So as young people, inspiring and bringing together other young people, whether as through friendships or through other formal processes, everyone is doing it in some form or the other. If Suma is doing it as a lecturer, Janardhan is doing it as someone who's practicing it on the farm, Rekha is doing it through the work that she does with education and children, each one story. Shubhendu is doing it with his friends. I think everybody has these stories through the kind of, I think, demands that Pavitra is making on her friend, saying that stop eating at KFC and keep that money aside to buy organic food and don't complain about being expensive. So I think there are some fantastic initiatives and processes that they're all part of, and which is also happening in the larger ASHA Alliance and all these other groups. So how do we look at deepening these processes with these groups? So one of the suggestions, I think one of the things that we talked about while yesterday also we were discussing, is that maybe to have some more working groups within this of young people, and maybe those working groups could be a working group of people who are from urban backgrounds, who are not sure about what they would do in the field, but will be part of supporting that process. So whether it's Harsha or whether it's Utsa, that's one group. There is another group which is, or Suma also is part of that group in some form. She's from an agricultural family, but she's still practicing agriculture partly. So maybe to look at 2 or 3 of these groups that we can form, and if you could give your names to that group and say, okay, how do we take it forward? What are some of the things that we could do? And not let it end here when we leave this room, but to keep this conversation alive. So I don't know if that's a suggestion that you find useful. And there is also one person who wanted to speak. I think Nagaraju wanted to. Nagaraju, na? Yeah. So before we get into this process, maybe just Nagaraju was also keen on saying something about from his perspective. Yeah.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ನಾಗಾರ್ಜುನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ನಾನು ಮೈಸೂರಿನವನೇ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಾನು ವಾಲಂಟಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು, ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಯಾವ ಥಾಟ್ಸು ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಸೀಯಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್ ಡೈಲಾಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತು. ಸೊ ಐ ವುಡ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಟು ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಕವಿತಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಫಾರ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ಎನ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ. ನಾನು ಫಾರ್ಮರು. ನಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮನಿಗೆ ನಾನು ರೈತನಾಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ದೇ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಸಿ ಮೀ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೈ ಬ್ರದರ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್. ಬಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಲೋಚನೆಗಳೇ ಬೇರೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 6 ಮಂತ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು PhD ಸಬ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಮೈಸೂರು ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲೇ. ಕಳೆದ 15 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಐ ಮೀನ್ ಟು ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಪಾವರ್ಟಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಬಡತನದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಬಡತನ ಯಾವ ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ತುಂಬ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಹಿಡಿದು ಈ ಭೂಮಿಯಿಂದನೇ ಆಚೆ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಬಡತನ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಕೋಟನ್ನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೆನಪಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸರ್ ಎಂ ವಿಶ್ವೇಶ್ವರಯ್ಯ ಅವರು ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ನೀನು ಬಡತನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ನಿನ್ನ ತಪ್ಪಲ್ಲ, ನೀನು ಬಡತನದಲ್ಲಿ ಸತ್ತರೆ ಅದು ನಿನ್ನ ತಪ್ಪು ಅಂತ. ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಗತ್ತೆ, ನಾವು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಕೃಷಿ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು ಓದಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ ಸೂಸೈಡ್ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಓದ್ತೀವಿ. ತುಂಬ ಕಾರಣಗಳಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅವ್ರ ಆತ್ಮಹತ್ಯೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕೆ. ಸೊ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ದೆ ಇರೋಕ್ಕೂ ಸುಮಾರು ಕಾರಣ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಟೇಕಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ 70 ಲಕ್ಷ ಸಾಲ ಇತ್ತು. 70 ಲಕ್ಷ ಸಾಲ ನಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕಳೀಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಕೃಷಿಲೇ ಕಳೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಹೆಂಗೆ ತೀರಿಸೋದು ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದರೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಸಂಬಳ ಸಿಗತ್ತೆ, ಹೌದು. ಸೊ ಮನೇಲೇ ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಡೆಪ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೆಂಗೆ, ಎವ್ರಿ ಡೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ರಿಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅವ್ರ ನೋಟಿಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆ, ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಬಟ್ ಟುಡೇ ಒಂದು 20 ಲಕ್ಷ ಸಾಲ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇರೋದು. ಸೊ ಏನಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಧೈರ್ಯವಾಗಿರ್ತೀರೋ ಸಾಲ ಎದುರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ, ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಎದುರ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀರೋ ಸಾಲ ಅಷ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಎದುರಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಯಂಗ್ ರೈತರು ಅಂದರೆ ಯುವ ರೈತರುಗಳಿಗೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಏಜ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅಥವಾ ನಮಗಿಂತ ಚಿಕ್ಕವರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದರೆ, ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆದರ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Yeah, so I also realize that we've only been talking from here. If there's anything very quickly that anyone in the audience wants to say which has not been said here, or any clarifications to any of them, any questions that you have, and how you think you could be a part of this process, I think that would be fantastic. If you could just, if anyone has anything, yeah.
Okay, just come.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ, ನಾವು ಹೊಸಪೇಟೆ ಪ್ರಸನ್ನ ಅಂತೇಳಿ 20 ಇಯರ್ಸಿಂದ ನಾವು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ನಮ್ಮ ಈಗ ಮುಂದಿನ ಒಂದು ಭವಿಷ್ಯಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಕೃಷಿಯ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಯೋಜನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಏನಂದರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾಡಿ, ಯಾರು ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಿ ಅವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಬಿಡುವಿನ ವೇಳೆಗೆ ಮಾಡಿರಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತಕ್ಕಂಗೆ ನಾವು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಫೀಲ್ಡಿಗೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಬರೋಕ್ಕೆ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ದುಡ್ಡಿಂದು ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು. ಓನ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರ ಶ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ತಕ್ಕಂಗೆ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಏನು ಬೆಳೆದಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಆ ಥರದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಯೋಜನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಯಾರಿಗಾದರೂ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು.
Different ways of entering the process, and he's volunteered to, if anybody is interested, you want to become a farmer, you can talk to him and talk to anybody else, is what.
Yeah, so I have a similar suggestion to what he said, trying to take the youth forward into agriculture. Like Rekha said, that they did not have any land and did not know how to start agriculture. If the present farmers can help the young in the way that maybe ASHA could design an internship program and all of us could become members, and the youth, the youngsters who want to learn farming and have no land, we could provide that land and that services. And if there is a designed curriculum, it would be really nice, and they would also learn a lot. We'd be happy to be part of this process.
Hello. Okay, my name is Devang, and I have traveled extensively India, and I've met many people. But I find that most of the people don't want to take up farming, which is younger generation, 25 to 35, you know. And the principals of the schools, they are only trying to give them theory knowledge, you know. Theory knowledge doesn't really help. We need to practice. We need to see beyond what books are telling us to see. So we need to work on the micro level. Once we work on the micro level, macro level will be taken care of, right? So in the family, we need to solve the family problems. Only then problems will be solved at the macro level, right? So one consensus, right?
Hello, Namaste. I'm Dr. Anita Kadgat from Hubli. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner. I'm not a youth because I'm 55 years old, but I would like to call myself youth because recently I've purchased a farmland and I want to do organic farming. Because as I'm forgetting her name from Kerala, food is the main thing which wanted me to do, me and my husband to do this. We sold our house in the city and we have bought farmland now. I have to start yet, so we have come here for so many questions to be answered. And as to carry this forward, I'm seeing a model here because there is a urban person who is helping the farmers. There is a person who is not satisfied with her work, who doesn't have a farmland. Two of them are there, and they're doing something they're doing something good. And there are three people who are having already farmland. They are from farmers' families. And there is a youth, very small girl, who wants to do this. This is what I want to see in the future. So there is already a model. So why can't we do this models, try out this model, make group in each state or district wise, something, at least one model in one state right now. And I would like to also contribute because I have always wanted to grow kitchen gardens for the schools. This is my thing, so that children will know how to grow from the basic level. So this is the model I'm seeing here already. This one group should be formed of such people. Each group should have such one person to represent the things. And this would be working great, I feel. So I would be also, I am considering youth in farming now. I'm a youth in farmer, maybe not chronologically, I'm a bigger person, but I'm a youth in farm. So I would also like to be in this group also. Thank you.
I am M. Venkat Subbarao from Andhra Pradesh. I am a retired mechanical engineer. I have been doing agriculture in natural farming for the past 8 years. My land has reached 2% organic carbon, and I have 16 acres of land and about 20 cows with me. Further, I am not able to continue my organic farming. So if anybody is interested, I would like to offer this land at reasonable rent. If anybody wants, please contact me.
Hello. Um, in my opinion, one of the things that we need to look at when it comes to youth and agriculture is to make agriculture cool again. Only when youth, young people feel that it's cool, that they will come. And also use platforms where young people are. For example, social media. So use Instagram to invite them into these conversations. And I feel these conversations are really enriching, but these are not on social media where young people are. So, yeah.
Hi. Sorry. Should I? Yeah, okay. Sorry. Hi, I'm Divya. I'm also very new to organic farming, just 2 years in the field. But I have, in this past time, whatever I have learned, simultaneously, I've also been taking classes at a lot of schools. So I think what I personally feel is from my experience, when I go to these schools to teach the kids about organic farming, the amount of interest that I have seen in little children, because I'm teaching kids from, second grade till 11th grade, especially in the age group of when they are about 6th grade to 8th grade, I feel that they have the intention to learn and still that childlike joy to learn. So I feel like going forward, one of the very important things that maybe, I don't know if ASHA is working in that field already, but is to build a progressive curriculum, starting from nursery going all the way till 12th grade, where every year you progressively learn, but it forms a subject in the school. So it becomes a part of their teaching, and it's a life skill that I think is very important, and I would be more than happy to help if there is any way that I could in forming this curriculum.
Can I give it to you, sir? And that will be the last one.
Thank you. I am Devendra Sadana, and probably one of the eldest persons in this hall. I am in my 70th year of my life. God bless. You are the ambassadors, panelists. I find them as the ambassadors, and there are many more in our hall here and outside. We want many, many more of you. This breed has to grow. Many more, because India is big and we have to reach many, many, many places while doing agriculture, which is your strong point. At the same time, education, this part at different levels, schooling and whatever, that should be, some of you have to come up on that. Thank you.
Yeah, last 3 days I am listening. Farming is not profitable. That is why youngsters are not interested to come. What I'm thinking is, let's not do farming. We give a holiday for 1 year, 2 year. So let's not do at all. Just I'm request farmers, just cultivate for yourself and you eat properly and you be happy. Then the demand and the thing will demand will create. Then economy all depends upon a demand and supply. So that the supply is required, then all the farmers will get a good demand. They will get a profitable income. Thank you.
I'm sorry I'm being an autocrat. This is the dirty hat of the moderator. We have 10 minutes left. We'd like to have these, because I think there's some fantastic suggestions. And I'm also, I would like you to put your money where your mouth is and come and volunteer to do this. And I think some of you have already volunteered. So I think definitely have one group, because I think there's a lot of interest in the space of education and curriculum building, working with formal school systems and also outside of those systems. I think there was a very interesting suggestion about training programs for young people who want to become, in some form, actually work with the soil and grow something, and also interventions in the formal school system. Then there is people who want to do something, who are very clear that I don't think I have the ability to do this, but I can do whatever I can in terms of markets, in terms of support, in terms of policy, in terms of volunteering, to do things with groups. I think there is that one group who are primarily from non-farm, non-agricultural, traditional agricultural backgrounds. Then there are young people from farming families, traditional farming families who would definitely like to do something together. So if there is that one group, and so those are 3 groups. There's one more, sorry.
Yeah, four groups is what we thought, because people who are actually practicing agriculture, sustainable agriculture in the youth, in the rural, right? Because urban and rural there's a difference. People who are from a rural background, there itself they need a support system. That could be one group. Because the communication and various things, support systems should be different. The second group would be urban people who are trying to do agriculture. That could be a collective. The third group would be rural, urban people who are looking into supporting agriculture. With respect to policy, with respect to issues, with respect to organic marketing and various other things, right? Not actually doing agriculture, but being a support system for various other things. So that could be a group. And the fourth group, as the wider people have discussed on education, with respect to education itself, that could be one group. So, for the first group, probably we could also, people can just come over who wants to do group 1, who are into rural and who are who can support practicing agriculture in rural. The second group could be urban people, but who want to support practicing sustainable agriculture. The third would be into policy issues, organic marketing and all. And the fourth group would be education. So you can just step forward here and just say, I want to be part of this. And we can form small groups here in itself. Yeah. So for the third group, I would be an anchor with respect to support systems.
Yeah, I could be the anchor for education, and we could have maybe Janardhan and Shubhendu being the anchors for the rural youth who are already from farming backgrounds who are doing agriculture. Maybe Pavitra and Rekha can be the anchors for the group that's doing urban people who want to go back into agriculture or want to try their hand with agriculture. So is that okay? So aap dono saath mein, and Janardhan and Shubhendu for this, and Suma and Utsa, if you can also join me with this. Yeah, with education. Yeah. So why don't you just come up onto stage, come talk to us and add your ideas, and we can then see how we can stay in touch and take this forward. Or Ramesh, actually. Actually, Ramesh and these guys can.
Hello?
Okay, so this is the group on education, so come here. This is the group on education, Ramesh, Utsa and Suma, because I think I'll just try and make sure this happens better. So if you can sit on the stage in a circle and quickly talk about it, of some ideas, and Ramesh, you can take notes, and yeah. And, okay, so I think, is there any confusion about which groups do you want to go to, what?